For 3 years, my neighbor humiliated me every single week about my lawn, mocked me in front of the entire neighborhood, called me lazy, incompetent, even questioned my manhood over grass. But the day I discovered what he was really doing to get that picture-perfect lawn, everything changed. And trust me, what happened next was beautiful. If you've ever had a neighbor who made your life hell, or if you've ever fantasized about exposing a fraud who thought they were untouchable, you're going to love this story. Hit that like button right now, subscribe for more satisfying revenge tales, and buckle up because this one's chef's kiss. When my wife Sarah and I moved into Maplewood Gardens 3 years ago, we thought we'd found our forever home. You know the kind of neighborhood I'm talking about. Tree-lined streets, kids riding bikes, the smell of barbecues every Saturday evening. It was perfect. Our house was a beautiful colonial with a big front yard. Sure, the lawn needed work, but we were excited. We had plans. Sarah loved gardening, and I was ready to put in the effort to make our yard something we could be proud of. Then we met Richard. Richard Castellano lived 2 houses down, a massive brick mansion with columns that screamed, "I have money and I need you to know it." And his lawn, God, his lawn was immaculate. I'm talking golf course quality. Deep emerald green, perfectly striped, not a single weed, not one brown patch. It looks like it belonged in a magazine spread. At first, Richard seemed friendly enough. That first week, he walked over with his golden retriever, extended his hand, flashed this bright white smile. "Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm Richard. If you need any tips on lawn care, just holler. I've got the best-looking yard on the block. Gotta maintain this standard, you know?" I laughed it off. Seemed like harmless pride, right? I had no idea what was coming. The first few months, I was doing everything right. I researched online, bought a decent mower, started a fertilizing schedule, watered religiously, but our lawn, it just wasn't responding. Patches stayed brown, weeds crept in despite my best efforts, the grass grew unevenly. Meanwhile, Richard's lawn remained flawless, and Richard, he noticed. It started with little comments. "Hey buddy, lawn's looking a little rough there. You watering enough?" Or, "Man, you might want to aerate that soil. Looks pretty compacted." Annoying, but fine. I figured he was trying to help. But then it escalated. One Saturday morning, I'm out there sweating, manually pulling crabgrass, and Richard pulls up in his BMW, window down, sunglasses on. He actually stops his car to yell, "You know, some people just aren't cut out for lawn maintenance. Maybe you should hire someone." Neighbors were walking by. They heard him. My face burned. I didn't respond, just kept pulling weeds. Another time, during our neighborhood block party, Richard loudly told a group of neighbors, while I was standing right there, "Yeah, my secret is dedication and pride. Some people just don't have that, I guess." He glanced at me, smirked, then turned back to the group. Sarah grabbed my arm. "Ignore him," she whispered. "He's not worth it." But it got to me every single time. The absolute worst moment came during our HOA meeting last spring. The topic was neighborhood beautification. The HOA president mentioned wanting to enter our neighborhood into the county's best community competition. Richard stood up, all puffed up, and said, "I think that's a great idea, although," he paused for effect, "we might want to make sure everyone is pulling their weight. Some properties are really bringing down the aesthetic." He looked directly at me. "I mean, I work hard on my lawn every week. It's not that difficult. If I can do it, anyone can. Unless they just don't care." People shifted uncomfortably. A few looked at me with pity. My neighbor Linda even whispered, "Don't listen to him." But the damage was done. I felt humiliated, angry, powerless. That night, I couldn't sleep. Sarah found me sitting on our back deck at 2 a.m., staring at our sad, patchy lawn under the moonlight. "He's a bully," she said softly, sitting beside me. "I've tried everything," I said, my voice cracking slightly. "You're not doing anything wrong. Some soil is just difficult. Some grass doesn't take well. It's not your fault." But it felt like my fault, like I was failing at something as basic as keeping my lawn alive. Then came the day that changed everything. It was early June. I was leaving for work around 5:45 a.m., earlier than usual because I had a morning meeting. The sun was just barely coming up, that weird gray-blue light of pre-dawn. As I backed out of my driveway, I noticed something odd. There was a truck parked in front of Richard's house. Not unusual, he had landscapers occasionally, but this wasn't a landscaping truck. It was unmarked, white, kind of beat up. And there were two guys in dark clothes unrolling a massive hose from the truck across Richard's lawn toward his side yard. Weird, but whatever. I drove to work. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. That evening, I mentioned it to Sarah. "Probably lawn treatment," she suggested. "Maybe that's his secret, professional lawn treatment." "Maybe," I said, but something felt off. 2 weeks later, I had another early meeting, same time, 5:45 a.m., and there they were again. Same truck, same guys, same hose. This time, I parked my car, killed the engine, and watched from across the street. They were pumping something, some kind of liquid from the truck through the hose into Richard's side yard. It took about 20 minutes, then they packed up and left. My mind started racing. What kind of lawn treatment requires a truck and a hose at dawn? I did some Googling at work that day. Secret lawn care techniques, professional lawn liquid treatments. Nothing really matched. Then I stumbled onto an article about illegal water usage and underground aquifer tapping. My stomach dropped. No, he wouldn't. That weekend, I casually mentioned the truck to Linda, our mutual neighbor who happened to be a county environmental inspector. "Early morning truck? Pumping liquids?" Her eyebrows went up. "That's concerning. What kind of truck?" "Unmarked white truck. 2 guys. They're gone before anyone else is awake." Linda frowned. "Do me a favor. If you see them again, take pictures. License plate, the truck, everything." 1 week later, they came back, and I was ready. I set my alarm for 5:30 a.m., grabbed my phone, positioned myself at my upstairs window with a clear view of Richard's house. At 5:50 a.m., right on schedule, the truck pulled up. I started recording. I got everything: the license plate, the 2 guys unrolling the hose running into Richard's side yard right next to his sprinkler system junction box. I filmed them pumping for 23 minutes straight. Then I zoomed in and saw something that made my blood run cold. There was a small access panel in Richard's yard, partially hidden by bushes, and they were connecting the hose directly into it. I sent everything to Linda. Her response came 2 hours later. "Holy shit. I think he's illegally tapping into the municipal water main. That's a serious violation. Sending this to the water authority and HOA immediately." Within 72 hours, everything exploded. The county water authority showed up at Richard's house with official vehicles. They spent 3 hours inspecting his property. Turns out, Richard had hired an unlicensed plumber to install an illegal bypass connection directly into the main water line running under our street. He'd been stealing thousands of gallons of water, completely unmetered, untaxed, for over 2 years. That's why his lawn was so perfect. He wasn't some lawn care genius. He was a thief. He was watering his precious grass 24/7 with stolen water while the rest of us paid our bills like honest people. The water authority hit him with a $47,000 fine for water theft and infrastructure tampering. The county brought criminal charges, misdemeanor theft of services. The HOA fined him an additional $5,000 for violating neighborhood bylaws and bringing disrepute to the community. And the best part? His story made the local news. Local man fined nearly $50,000 for stealing water to maintain perfect lawn. I was getting my mail when Richard stormed up my driveway 3 days after the news broke. His face was red, veins bulging. "You did this," he shouted at me, jabbing his finger at me. "You reported me. You ruined my life." I stayed calm. crossed my arms, looked him dead in the eye. No, Richard, you ruined your life. I just noticed something suspicious and reported it to the right people. Maybe if you'd spent less time mocking my lawn and more time being an honest person, we wouldn't be here. You're jealous, he screamed. You couldn't stand that my lawn was better. I smiled. Couldn't help it. Your lawn wasn't better because you worked harder, Richard. It was better because you're a criminal. There's a difference. He sputtered, tried to say something, couldn't. Sarah appeared at the door behind me. I think you should leave, Richard. He stood there, shaking with rage, then finally turned and stormed off. Over the next few weeks, Richard became a neighborhood pariah. People who used to admire him now avoided him. His perfect lawn started dying because, surprise, without unlimited stolen water, grass actually needs proper care. Meanwhile, Linda helped me test our soil. Turns out our yard had a drainage issue and acidic soil. With proper amendments and a revised care plan, our lawn started improving, slowly but noticeably. Richard ended up selling his house 4 months later. Couldn't handle the shame. The day the sold sign went up, Linda brought over a bottle of wine. To justice, she toasted. To justice, Sarah and I echoed. And you know what's the craziest part is? Our lawn still isn't perfect. There are still some brown patches, a few weeds pop up. But I don't care anymore, because I learned something important. Perfection built on lies always crumbles, and integrity, even with a few flaws, always wins in the end. Sometimes karma needs a little help. Sometimes the universe needs you to pay attention, to ask questions, to not let bullies win. Richard thought he was untouchable, thought his perfect lawn made him superior. But all it took was one early morning, one curious neighbor, and one honest report to bring his whole facade crashing down. Justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just noticing what's wrong and doing the right thing. So, what do you think? Was I wrong to report him, or did Richard get exactly what he deserved? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story gave you that sweet, sweet satisfaction hit, smash that like button, share this with someone who's ever dealt with a nightmare neighbor, and subscribe because we've got tons more stories just like this coming your way. Until next time, stay petty, stay justified, and never let the bullies win.